The U.S. deploys troops to Cameroon to aid in the fight against Boko Haram. Stepping up breast cancer awareness on the continent. And actress Jennifer Aniston tweaks her girl next door persona in a new ad. And the internet responds with a big thumbs down. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. We begin in West Africa, where U.S. President Barack Obama is sending military personnel to Cameroon to conduct airborne surveillance of Boko Haram militants. Now, the troops were invited by Cameroon's government as part of a large international effort to stop the spread of violent extremism in the region. The need for international action has become more urgent as Boko Haram and other organizations ramped up their violent activities. A just-released U.S. report says the actions of Boko Haram and other extremist groups also pose a lasting threat to religious freedom.
Most prominent and most harmful, obviously, has been the rise of international terrorist groups, such as Daesh, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, and all have been guilty of vicious acts of unprovoked violence. Under their control, captives have been given a choice between conversion or slavery or death.
Cameroon is part of a joint regional task force fighting Boko Haram, which seeks to create a strict Islamic state in northern Nigeria. A U.S. defense official said American troops will stay in Cameroon as long as their presence is requested. Now, for more details on the U.S. government's move to help stamp out terrorism in West Africa, VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Barb joins us live now. Carla, this seemed to have caught people by surprise. Did you see it coming?
Well, it was an unexpected decision by many people outside of this building, but here in the halls of the Pentagon, Africa Command has been working with the State Department to offer help to those countries that were mentioned in the package, Chad, Benin, Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon, saying, we want to help in this fight. We don't want to put ground troops. We don't want to do this fight. This is your fight. But if you need help, we're here.
Now, we touched on that a little bit, but can you expound on what will be the role of the U.S. troops on the ground in Cameroon?
Well, the U.S. troops are going there to do intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, basically against the extremists in North Cameroon. That would be Boko Haram. That would also be any other groups that come in and try to conduct terrorist attacks in the area. The troops have said that that's where they're going to focus. They're going to be, a U.S. official told me they're going to be near one of the major civilian airports in the north, and they want to focus on that. However, there is room for helping with border protection, as well as building force capacity for the Cameroon military.
Now, some may say, well, Nigeria is the epicenter of Boko Haram attacks. Are we going to see U.S. troops in Cameroon, in Chad, in Niger? What do we know?
Well, it's too soon to say, but as I mentioned before, the United States has been very upfront with saying we want to help in a capacity that you need us against Boko Haram extremists. The United States understands how horrible that terrorism can be and how it spreads. So if we see something in the coming days, it would not be a shock to me. However, there's been nothing announced for any other countries at this time.
Very quickly, the president today also announced that there's going to be a delay in the withdrawal of U.S. troops in Afghanistan. What really prompted this delay?
Well, this was majorly because of two reasons. First of all, the unity government in Afghanistan wants the United States to stay, has asked the United States to continue its presence in the country. Second reason has been the Taliban is fighting. It's been a hard fighting season. They've tried to stay in the rural areas and take advantage of some of the areas where the United States has withdrawn. And the United States wanted to be clear and send a clear message that the Taliban needs to form a peace unity agreement with this Afghan government, because the United States is not going away. In fact, President Obama said to the Taliban, the only way that you're going to get a full withdrawal of U.S. troops is if there is a peace agreement. So he's saying, don't try to wait it out and then try to win the war. This war is not ending unless you commit to peace.
Carla, thank you very much.
Thank you.
VOA's Pentagon correspondent Calabab reporting live via Skype. Now, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has submitted a second list of candidates for his cabinet to the upper house of parliament for approval. Buhari submitted a first list with 21 names of the Senate to the Senate earlier this month. He needs to nominate 36 candidates to fulfill the constitutional need for a minister from each of Nigeria's states. The president has been criticized for failing to appoint a cabinet since taking office in May 29th. Meanwhile, Africa's biggest oil-dependent economy has seen a plunge in crude prices, and the government continues to grapple with the security threat posed by the Islamic terrorist group Boko Haram. Now, for more on the much-anticipated Nigerian cabinet, Lanre Lasisi, a reporter with Channels TV, joins us live via Skype from Abuja. Lanre, first I have to ask, with this news that the U.S. troops are on the way to West Africa, has there been any reaction in Abuja?
Well, for now, I haven't heard of any reaction thus far, but as you know, I cover the parliament. The parliament hasn't reacted to this news, but I'm not sure if the presidency has sent out a statement yet.
Now, in relation to the cabinet, well, the Nigerians have been waiting for a long time. What are they saying now the names have been submitted to the Senate?
Well, you know, two developments. With the second list that was submitted, it came just as the first set of nominees, the 21 names that you mentioned, were being screened by the Senate. And that took the focus off the remaining 16 that were just sent. So a lot of Nigerians were, not very happy that the list had delayed in coming. And so when the first list came, that the nominees are being screened, a lot of Nigerians are happy about that. It appears these ones that have been screened will now get to work, and Nigerians will see some work being done.
Now, talking about Nigerians being happy about the list, that implies names are known. What is so special or different about the names on that list that makes people a little bit excited?
Well, I think they're excited after hearing some of them speak during the screening exercise. Before the screening exercise, when the names were released, a lot of people were not too happy with it. Some people felt the number of females on the list were not significant. Others felt there were a large number of people that had served in different capacity in different parts of the federal structure and even in the state structure. But when the screening started, hearing them defend themselves, talk about what they hope to bring to the portfolios they will be given, a lot of Nigerians were impressed. And overnight, how do you put it, the reactions of Nigerians changed. They were really impressed with some of what they heard and are looking forward to them getting to work.
Indeed, we look forward to see the complete list and if finally the cabinet come in place. Lanre, thank you very much for your reporting.
Thank you.
That is Lanre Lasisi of Channels TV reporting live via Skype from Abuja in Nigeria. Now, early results from Guinea's presidential election have the incumbent Alpha Conde running well ahead of the competition in a hotly contested election. The main opposition candidate, Selu Delaine Diallo, dropped out of the contest Wednesday, citing fraud by the government. Other opposition candidates are denouncing the election as a grand deception. Government officials are urging patience.
Nothing can be rebuilt in chaos. We ask everyone to remain calm and not to take to the streets, because that's not a solution. We call on all political actors to prioritize dialogue instead of violence.
Well, Western diplomats reported a number of problems at polling stations Sunday, and violence leading up to the vote left 3 people dead. President Conde is expected to be re-elected, but with the opposition pulling out, it is unclear what will happen if a runoff is needed. VOA is working to get a comment on the election from the Guinean ambassador to the United States, and we hope to have that for you on Friday. Not too far from there, Benin is observing a week of mourning for the late President Mathieu Kérékou. He died Wednesday at age 82. No cause of death was announced. Mr. Karikou led the West African nation of Benin for a decade until the constitution forced him to step down in 2006. Going all the way to the south, South African athlete Oscar Pistorius is set to be released from a Pretoria prison next week after serving the minimum time allowed for his culpable homicide conviction in the killing of his girlfriend, River Steenkamp. The nation's Department of Correctional Services said Thursday that Pistorius will be transferred to house arrest on Tuesday and remain there for the rest of his 5-year sentence. VOA's Anita Powell reports from Johannesburg.
South Africa's trial of the century is being followed by Oscar Pistorius' closely watched release from prison after he entered in October 2014. The athlete, who made history as the first double amputee to compete in the Olympics, has served his minimum time on a 5-year sentence for culpable homicide. He was convicted of that charge, equivalent to the U.S. charge of manslaughter, for killing his girlfriend in 2013 at his Pretoria home. He claims he mistook Riva Steenkamp for an intruder when he shot 4 times through his locked bathroom door, killing her. His case stretched over 2 years and captivated international attention. He will be confined to his uncle's house in a wealthy suburb of Pretoria. But he is still far from the finish line of this saga. He still faces an appeal from the prosecution in November. He has been banned from international competition for the rest of his 5-year sentence. And for the rest of his life, he'll be constantly followed by the shadow of that horrible night. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
Well, Doctors Without Borders says that an international commission is set to investigate the deadly U.S. bombing of its hospital in Kunduz, Afghanistan, earlier this month that killed 22 people. The medical charity, also known by its French acronym MSF, says the Swiss-based International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission is awaiting a final agreement from Afghanistan and the United States before it moves forward.
Step is the U.S. government consenting to this investigation. Then we'll find out from credible sources as to what really happened, and we'll understand and have a better sense of what happened on the night of October 3rd.
Well, U.S. President Barack Obama has apologized to the head of MSF. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vincent Makori. Coming up, combating breast cancer in Africa. Stay with us.
From science and technology, here's what's new.
What's new? It's a glass-bottom bridge, the first in China, in central Hunan province. 180 meters high, 300 meters long, and strung between 2 cliffs in Shinujai Park. It's attracting thousands of tourists every day, like Chu Zhegao. I'm challenging myself, he says. I just walked from over there, but I never looked down. To each his own to find the way across. Hold onto the rail, grab your friend in front of you and make a human train. Or just get down on your hands and knees if you must. And if you make it over this bridge, there's an even bigger one on the way in Hunan province. At a planned 430 meters long and 300 meters high, the new bridge will likely be the world's tallest and longest when it opens in Zhangjiajie Park in 2016. For VOA's What's New, I'm Martin Seacrest.
It's time now for a Thursday Health Report, and joining us is Africa 54 Health correspondent Lino Muduo with a look at breast cancer and adolescent health. Lino.
The World Health Organization and the United Nations AIDS Agency, UNAIDS, recently launched a new global standards for quality health care services for adolescents. According to the UN agencies, current health services often fail the world's adolescents, that is, people from 10 to 19 years old. Many adolescents who suffer from mental health disorders, substance abuse, poor nutrition, intentional injuries, and chronic illnesses do not have access to critical prevention and care services. Meanwhile, many behaviors that have a lifelong impact on health begin in adolescence. Dr. Anthony Costello is director of the Department of Maternal, Newborn, Child and Adolescent Health.
Adolescents are a unique and special group. Adolescents have particular needs. They can be quite vulnerable, but they're not children. They're young adults, and as young adults they want privacy. They want access to a different kind of services. Governments and health services need to recognise that this is a special group, quite a hard-to-reach group, and that you need to make special provision for them, that you can't just provide the usual child health services or adult services. You won't reach a lot of the ones that you really want to reach.
That was Dr. Costello with the WHO. The global standards for quality healthcare services for adolescents call for an inclusive package of information, counseling, diagnostic, treatment, and care services that go beyond the traditional focus on sexual and reproductive health. Now, October is the month set aside by advocacy groups to focus on breast cancer and raise awareness, support for research, and other efforts to fight the disease. Medical experts say breast cancer is affecting more and more women in Africa, and there is a need to step up awareness efforts. When 46-year-old Khadija Banwo found out she had a lump in her breast 5 years ago, she quickly booked a doctor's appointment. After several tests, she was diagnosed with a cancerous tumor, and her doctors advised surgery.
God has been faithful to me. Emotionally and psychologically, I was not depressed at all. I've been a very hardened person. So I just felt my children are there. My husband was practically bedridden at that stage. So the two of us shouldn't go at the same time. Breast cancer is one of the most common cancers in women worldwide. Factors such as age, obesity, inactivity, alcohol use, or early menstruation can increase the risk. While many women are often aware of breast cancer, some do not take steps to detect the disease in its early stage. Early detection will save a lot of life, but not just, you can detect very early and you choose not to attend to it early. So for me, what I believe is no matter the stage you detect, be it stage 0, 1, 2, 3, be ready to address the situation properly. The World Health Organization says more women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. Of 14.1 million new cancer cases reported in 2012, 1.7 million were breast cancer cases, an increase of about 20% since 2008. Observers say the majority of cancer cases are now occurring in the developing world, where effective treatment and detection remain a challenge. For Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, residents in Lagos made an attempt to break a Guinness World Record by forming the largest human pink ribbon in the world. The current record stands at 6,700. They did not make the record, but still thousands showed up.
I came for this event because I've lost my aunt to cancer, and my mom is also a proud survivor of cancer.
I want to see a Nigeria where we phase out late detection of cancer totally. I want to see a Nigeria where more young people are driving research, are driving studies that will even generate drugs, medicine, chemotherapy made in Africa.
The International Agency for Research on Cancer predicts that by 2035, there will be more than 24 million new cases of cancer, with 13 million cancer deaths every year. Experts say half of the deaths can be avoided if there are concentrated efforts of cancer prevention. Joining us in the studio for more on the subject is Sylvia Darcy, Executive Assistant, Research Associate and Community Outreach Specialist with the African Women's Cancer Awareness Association, AWCAA. Ms. Darcy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So observers, experts say that more and more African women are being affected and infected, well, developing breast cancer. What is your observation in terms of African women here in the community that you work with?
Well, as you know, October is the month for breast cancer awareness, and our organization, African Women's Cancer Awareness Association, has been at the forefront in advocacy and also bringing awareness into the community, more especially on early detection, because early detection is the key to survival.
And early detection is indeed something we hear very often. What are we specifically talking about? We hear about self-breast exam. Tell us more about that.
Well, when it comes to self-breast examination, we are actually empowering the women to become an advocate of their own body, know their breasts very well, check out what are some of the signs and symptoms, for breast cancer, and that includes discharge from the nipple, bloody discharge, discharge that has pus. It also includes discoloration of the breast. It also includes disproportion of the breast when it comes to the size, as well as a lump in the breast.
Okay, when you talked about discoloration of the breast, what type of coloration are you referring to?
Well, everyone is familiar with their own skin tone, yes. So if something is different from the norm, it should be something that should be addressed. And again, before I forget, also, family history. Family history is something that is very important. Breast cancer is a disease that is also hereditary. So we talk to women to also look back in their family and see if anybody has been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Now, when it comes to the way it is being approached in the community, of course, women here in America, African women, may have more access to services and even organizations such as yours. When you look at the way it is addressed on the continent in Africa, as an African woman, what can you tell us?
Well, as an African woman, our organization has been privileged to conduct medical mission where we extend our services beyond the boundaries of the United States and also in the continent of Africa. And by doing so, we are also contributing in the global fight against cancer. So when we go to African countries for medical missions, we understand that these are areas where the resources are very low as compared to here in the Western world. So we stress more on self-breast examination. If you see something, say something, because it's only through that the cancer can be detected early. Again, early detection is the key to survival. We also encourage the women to educate their daughters, because these are women who these are girls who are going to become women in the future. Yes. And also, here in the U.S., when we go out for community outreach, we encourage women to have their mammogram. Mammogram is very effective in detecting cancer early for women who are 40 and above, and for women who are below 40, we encourage them to see their doctor for a clinical breast examination.
So before we end, what is lacking in the message? Because it seems like there is more and more awareness, but some women are still not aware of early detection, self-breast exam, and other steps. What is lacking in the message, and what is your message?
Well, here in the U.S., there are a lot of barriers, that are faced, people in our community, that's the African immigrant community, face when it comes to the cancer care continuum, that is from outreach all the way to survivorship. So we are talking about immigration status, we are talking about a woman not understanding health literacy. Do they understand what cancer is? Do they understand that it's a disease that affects both men and women? So all these factors contribute, to why you see that there is a delay, or even when the message is out there, women are still resistant. But our organization, we are very strong on advocating. Yeah. We have been able to establish partnerships here in the U.S. to refer women without health insurance for early detection screening.
Okay, Ms. Darcy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And that was Sylvia Darcy. She's Executive Assistant, Research Associate, and Community Outreach Specialist of the African Women's Cancer Awareness Association. That's our Africa Health Report for today. Vincent?
Well, thanks a lot, Lenore. Be sure to watch Lenore Madu's Health Report every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. A new ad campaign gets a popular American actress into hot water. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Nigeria, 3 suicide bombers killed themselves and 4 others in an attack near the city of Maiduguri. In Guinea, the Electoral Commission begins vote counting and says that incumbent Alpha Condé holds an early lead. In Sudan, after only one rebel group comes to peace talks, President Omar al-Bashir urges other opposition leaders to cooperate in dialogue efforts. South African President Jacob Zuma suspends the country's police chief amid an investigation of her role in the police killing of 34 mine workers in 2012. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. A viral ad for Emirates Airlines has put actress Jennifer Aniston in the middle of a controversy. The ad depicts Aniston waking from a nightmare on board a plane. Her complaint? There was no bar and no shower. She tells an Emirates bartender after waking up in her private sleeping space. At the pitch, wake up to flying as it should be, which should add if you are a wealthy or famous passenger. Now, the spot has attracted more than 3 million views on YouTube. Viewers have registered a thumbs down for 1/3 of this spot's votes, a truly startling amount for a brand video starring a popular celebrity. Next up, South Korea is losing some of its appetite for rice in favor of wheat, as bread and pastries become a trendy new staple. From working mothers who find toast more convenient to prepare for breakfast to city dwellers flocking to trendy eateries for baguettes, South Koreans are at the forefront of an Asia-wide trend that has seen wheat demand climb at nearly twice the rate of rice consumption since 2008. However, South Korea's elderly are still sticking with traditional rice dishes. Well, and finally, tapping into plant energy to charge phones. Now, 3 Chilean engineering students have developed a device that can charge mobile phones, tablets, or USB-powered devices by simply plugging them into household plants. The IKEA portable charger prototypes is based on a biocircuit which captures the residual energy of the plant to convert it into electricity. During photosynthesis, the plant produces organic matter. Part of this organic matter is used for plant growth, but a large part goes unused by the plant, and that surplus is excreted into the soil through the roots. A single plant can charge a smartphone in around an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that is what is trending today. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings, Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. What do you think of when you hear this American idiom?
Ring a bell.
Did you get my Facebook invite? I'm having a party next Saturday. Can you come? You know, my friend Jane Wagner is going to be there.
That name rings a bell. Was she at your last party too?
Yes, she was. And you two really seem to hit it off. You should come.
Cool. I will definitely be there.
If something rings a bell for you, it means you remember something. In our example, a name seemed familiar. In everyday life, bells are often used to remind us to do things. For example, school bells ring to let students know it is time for class. And that's English in a Minute.